The rain hammered down on the marble steps of the Harrington estate like fists of judgment. Each drop an echo of the words that had just shattered Daniel's world. "You're no son of mine," his father had snarled. Voice like thunder in the oak-paneled study. Eyes cold as the steel empire he'd forged from nothing. In that instant, as the door slammed behind him with the finality of a coffin lid, Daniel Harrington knew his life was over or just beginning. Forged in the fire of betrayal that would one day consume the man who cast him out. 22 years old, fresh out of Yale with a degree in business that now felt like a cruel joke, Daniel clutched his duffel bag against his chest. The only possession his father hadn't stripped away in disgust. The revelation had come just hours earlier, during a family dinner meant to celebrate his graduation, a forced affair in their sprawling Fifth Avenue penthouse, where crystal glasses clinked like fragile pretenses. He'd mustered the courage after years of silence. The weight of hidden kisses in dorm rooms and stolen glances at forbidden desires finally too heavy to bear. "Dad, I'm gay," he'd said, voice steady despite the tremor in his hands. The room had frozen. Silverware suspended midair. His mother's gasp, the only sound before his father's face twisted into something unrecognizable. Revulsion. Regret unspoken. Richard Harrington, the self-made titan of Harrington Industries, a conglomerate that spanned real estate, tech startups, and Wall Street whispers, had risen from his chair like a colossus awakened. At 65, he was still imposing, broad-shouldered from decades of boardroom battles. His salt and pepper hair impeccably groomed, tailored suits hiding the scars of a bootstrap climb from Queens tenements to Manhattan monarchy. But beneath that armor, Daniel had always sensed the fragility of a man who equated love with legacy, vulnerability with weakness. Gay? Richard had spat the word like poison. "In my house. Under my roof. You shamed us all. Boy. Get out. You're dead to me." No plea from his mother, tear-streaked and whispering apologies, could pierce the wall. No second chance. Just the door, and the storm outside mirroring the one raging within. Daniel stumbled down the steps, the city lights blurring through the downpour, his soaked shirt clinging like a second skin of sorrow. He had no plan, no allies beyond a handful of college friends who texted sympathies but offered no couches in this cutthroat town. The Harrington name, once a golden ticket, now burned like a brand of exile. He thought of the tabloids that would feast tomorrow headlines screaming scandal, investors pulling back from the empire's edges. But it was the personal sting that clawed deepest, the father he'd idolized, the one who'd taught him to negotiate deals over steak dinners, now saw him as a flaw to excise. As sirens wailed in the distance, Daniel wiped rain from his eyes and hailed a cab with his last $20, whispering to himself, "You'll regret this. Dad, I'll make you see." The cab dropped him in Brooklyn, at a dingy all-night diner where fluorescent lights buzzed like angry hornets. He nursed a black coffee for hours, the bitterness mirroring his resolve, sketching frantic ideas on a napkin, apps for underserved communities. Tech that bridged divides his father had widened with ruthless mergers. By dawn, exhaustion won, and he crashed on a park bench in Prospect Park, the autumn leaves crunching under him like brittle dreams. Days blurred into a haze of job hunts, rejections piling up faster than his father's fortune. Harrington, as in Richard, one recruiter sneered over the phone, "We don't hire family drama." Friends faded. Invitations dried up. Even his mother's secret Venmo transfers stopped after a stern warning from Richard. But in that despair, a spark ignited. Daniel volunteered at a local LGBTQ center in Williamsburg, sorting donations amid rainbow flags that fluttered like defiant banners. There, amid the chatter of support groups and the scent of fresh coffee, he met Alex, 24, with warm hazel eyes, a lopsided grin, and tattoos snaking up arms honed from bartending shifts. Alex was a graphic designer by day, activist by night. His laugh a lifeline in the storm. "Heard your story from the volunteers," Alex said one evening, handing Daniel a flyer for a queer tech meetup. "Sounds like bullshit. But empires. We build those together." Their first real talk stretched till closing, hands brushing over shared sketches of app interfaces. Electricity humming unspoken between them. Weeks turned to months. Daniel crashing on Alex's futon in a cramped loft overlooking the East River. The city's pulse a constant reminder of reinvention. He scraped by with freelance coding gigs, his Yale polish shining through in polished pitches that landed small contracts. But the nights were hardest dreams of his father's office. The mahogany desk where deals were sealed, now a tomb of what-ifs. Alex held him through those. Whispers of "you're enough" weaving into the fabric of something new. Tender. Their first kiss came on a rooftop under fireworks for pride. Tentative then fierce. A reclaiming of joy stolen by judgment. Yet ambition gnawed. Daniel's napkin sketches evolved into EchoNet, a platform connecting LGBTQ entrepreneurs with mentors, funding, and safe spaces. Invisible algorithms shielding users from bigots while amplifying voices drowned out. He poured every dime into a prototype, coding late nights while Alex mocked up sleek designs. Rejection letters from VCs echoed his father's voice, too niche, too risky, but Daniel pressed on. Fueled by the faces at the center, trans kids dreaming big, elders sharing war stories of Stonewall. One investor, a queer venture capitalist named Lena from San Francisco, saw the fire. "This isn't just tech," she said over Zoom, her sharp bob-framing eyes that knew loss. "It's revolution." Her seed round 50 grand lit the fuse. EchoNet launched quietly in a Brooklyn warehouse party, rainbow lights pulsing to electronica beats. Daniel stood on a makeshift stage, heart pounding, Alex's hand steady in his. "We build from the breaks," he told the crowd of 200 coders. Activists. Allies. Not despite them. Because of them. Sign-ups surged overnight. Stories flooding in. A lesbian barista in Chicago pitching her coffee app. A non-binary artist in LA seeking collaborators. Richard's shadow loomed in the news. Harrington Industries acquiring yet another rival, but Daniel tuned it out, focusing on the empire rising from his own ashes. As winter gripped the city, EchoNet hit 10,000 users. Partnerships with Pride, orgs rolling in. Daniel and Alex moved to a one-bedroom in Bushwick, walls papered with user testimonials. Their love deepening in quiet mornings over takeout bagels. But cracks showed Daniel's drive bordering on obsession, snapping at Alex over late-night emails. "This isn't revenge," Alex urged one night, tracing scars on Daniel's knuckles from punching a wall in rage. "It's you. Don't lose that." Daniel nodded, pulling him close. But the fire burned hotter. Visions of boardrooms where he'd call the shots dancing in his head. Spring brought breakthroughs, a TEDx talk in Boston, where Daniel's voice cracked sharing his story. The audience rising in ovation that drowned his doubts. Media buzz followed Forbes profiling the queer kid who cracked Silicon Alley. Richard's assistants clipped articles, stacking them on his desk like indictments. But the old man waved them off. Jaw set. "Foolish boy," he'd mutter. Yet his eyes lingered on the photos of Daniel, arm around Alex, smiling in ways he'd never allowed. Daniel's world expanded like the skyline at dusk. EchoNet's servers humming with possibility as summer scorched the pavement. User base doubled to 20,000. Whispers of acquisition from Google scouts testing the waters. He hired his first employee, a brilliant trans engineer named Riley, fresh from MIT, whose code streamlined the platform's AI for better matching. The team grew in a co-working space in Dumbo, graffiti walls echoing with laughter and late-night pizza runs. Alex thrived too, his designs earning freelance nods from major brands. Their loft now alive with canvases of digital art that captured queer joy in pixels. But success unearthed ghosts. At a gala fundraiser in the meatpacking district, Daniel spotted a familiar face across the velvet ropes, his cousin Elena, Richard's niece, dripping in diamonds. She approached, champagne flute in hand, her smile tight. "Uncle Richard misses you. You know," she said, voice laced with pity. "He's adjusting. The board's pressuring him about succession." Daniel's grip tightened on his glass, the hook of old wounds twisting. "Tell him I don't need his empire. I've got my own." Elena's eyes softened. "It's not that simple, Danny. Family's blood." But as she walked away, he wondered if blood could forgive the blade. That night, tangled in sheets with Alex, Daniel confessed the encounter, vulnerability spilling like wine. Alex listened, fingers threading through his hair. "You're building something real, babe. Not just money change." Their lovemaking was slow, reverent, bodies mapping forgiveness in sighs and touches that chased shadows. Yet dawn brought emails, a major investor pulling out, citing reputational risks after a conservative outlet smeared EchoNet as woke propaganda. Daniel paced the loft, fury boiling. "They want to bury us, like Dad did." Alex pulled him down. "Then we rise louder." The setback fueled innovation. Daniel pivoted, launching Echo Shield, a feature encrypting user data against doxing, partnering with cybersecurity firms. It went viral after a high-profile outing scandal rocked Hollywood, celebrities endorsing left and right. By fall, valuation hit 8 figures. Daniel turned down buyouts, eyes on independence. He and Alex escaped to Fire Island for a weekend, waves crashing as they walked hand in hand. The beach a canvas of freedom. "Marry me?" Alex asked under stars. Ring simple silver etched with code. Daniel's yes was a vow, sealing love against the world's tempests. Back in the city, tensions escalated. Richard's empire faltered, a hostile takeover bid from a rival. Whispers of insider leaks. His assistant forwarded Daniel an article, Harrington Heirs Queer Venture, Savior or Sideshow. Daniel deleted it. But the pull tugged. At a family holiday, his mother's desperate invitee went, Alex by his side. The penthouse glittered, but air thick with unspoken. Richard stood distant, scotch in hand, gaze flicking to their intertwined fingers. "Impressive work," he grunted finally, voice gravel. Daniel met his eyes. "It's mine, not yours." The meal dragged, barbs veiled as jokes, until Richard snapped. "This phase, when does it end?" Alex's retort was steel. "It's not a phase. It's us." They left early, the elevator descent a metaphor. Winter deepened, EchoNet expanding to Europe. Daniel keynoting at Davos, a queer voice amid suits. His talk on inclusive innovation earning standing ovation. Richard watched the stream in his study, fist clenched, pride warring with prejudice. A heart scare sidelined him, board scrambling. His mother called Daniel, voice breaking. "He asks about you." In his sleep, Daniel flew home. But at the hospital, Richard waved him off weakly. "Don't need pity." Yet in the hallway, Elena slipped him a USB, Dad's old ledgers. "Flaws in the empire. Thought you should know." It was a crack, perhaps amends, perhaps ammunition. Daniel buried himself in work. EchoNet's IPO whispers growing. Alex proposed a break Bali to breathe, but Daniel demurred. Deadlines devouring days. Strain showed, arguments over forgotten anniversaries. Alex's eyes dimming. "I'm proud, but I'm scared you're slipping away," he admitted one blizzard night. Daniel knelt, ring glinting. "Never. You're my foundation." They renewed vows in a quiet ceremony at the center. Friends toasting under rainbow arches. Love a bulwark. As spring bloomed. The USB's secrets unfolded. Richard's ruthless tactics, shady deals. Crushed competitors that mirrored Daniel's own drive but lacked heart. He debated exposing, but chose mercy. Anonymizing tips to regulators. Chaos hit Harrington industry stocks plummeting. Headlines screaming scandal. Richard called. Voice cracked. Danny. Help. Daniel hesitated. Old hurts flaring. But Alex's hand steadied. Go. Not for him, for you. The boardroom of Harrington Tower loomed like a coliseum. Glass walls framing Manhattan's sprawl as Daniel strode in. Alex waiting in the lobby with a nod of quiet strength. Suits parted like the Red Sea. Whispers trailing, the prodigal son. Now a force. Richard sat at the head. Diminished pajamas under blazer. Eyes hollowed by defeat. You came. He rasped, gesturing to the seat beside him. Daniel sat. The leather creaking like old bones. Not for the company. For answers. The meeting blurred, strategies hashed. Leaks plugged but beneath. A reckoning brewed. Post-meeting. In the empty office that once was his playground. Father and son faced off. Richard poured scotch. Hands trembling. I built this from dirt. For you. Daniel's laugh was bitter. You built walls. Against me. Words tumbled Richard's own youth. A hidden affair with a sailor in Korea. Buried under ambition's boot. I thought strength meant hiding. Protecting the name. Tears tracked his cheeks. Unbidden. Daniel's chest ached. Rage softening to grief. You broke us. But I didn't break. They embraced awkwardly. The hug a bridge half built. Fragile. EchoNet soared through summer. IPO filing igniting fireworks valuation at $200 million. Daniel's face on billboards. He and Alex honeymooned in Provincetown. Dunes whispering secrets. Their bond reforged in salt air. Back home. Challenges mounted, trolls hacking forums. Conservative lawmakers eyeing regulations. Daniel testified in D.C. Voice unwavering. Innovation thrives in inclusion. Not fear. Allies multiplied, Oprah retweeting. Biden's team consulting. But Richard's regret festered. Rehab for his heart. Therapy unearthed poisons homophobia from his own father's belt. Projected onto Daniel. He reached out sporadically, lunches at the club. Stilted but thawing. Proud. He'd mutter over steaks. Glancing at Alex across the table. Daniel tested waters. Inviting him to an EchoNet event, a queer innovators summit in Soho. Richard came. Tie loosened. Mingling awkwardly amid drag queens and coders. A trans teen pitched her app to him. Richard listened. Really listened. Nodding. Later. In the car. He texted Daniel. She's brilliant. Like you. Fall brought tempests. Arrival app. Backed by Harrington's old foes. Launched PurityNet, a straight-only network. Ad smearing EchoNet as unsafe. Lawsuits flew. Media wars raged. Daniel's team battled. Riley's hacks exposing the rival's biases. Sleepless nights etched lines on his face. Alex brewing coffee at 3 a.m. Their touches now lifelines. We're unbreakable. Alex murmured. Forehead to forehead. Victory came swift, rival folded. EchoNet's users swelling in solidarity. Thanksgiving at the penthouse marked a milestone, Richard carving turkey. Alex at his side. Toasts to family redefined. Laughter echoed. Tentative but true. Yet Daniel sensed undercurrents. Richard's will revisions. Whispers of ceding control. The empire's yours if you want. He offered one evening. Skyline twinkling. Daniel shook his head. I have my own. But visit the center sometime. See what real legacy looks like. Winter's grip loosened into a new year. EchoNet Global Chapters in London. Tokyo. Daniel authored a book. From Exile to Empire. Proceeds funding scholarships. Richard attended the launch. Book in hand. Eyes misty. You taught me. He admitted privately. Their bond mended slowly. Scars visible, but healing weekly calls. Shared stories of loves lost and found. As cherry blossoms dusted D.C., Daniel stood before Congress again, advocating for equality bills. Alex watched from the gallery. Ring-catching light. Back in New York, news broke, Richard stepping down. Naming Daniel co-chair of Harrington Industries, not takeover, but partnership. Regrets a teacher. Richard said at the presser. Voice steady. Arm around his son. Daniel pulled Alex on stage. The world seeing, loves empire. Built on truth. But true climax brewed in quiet. A documentary crew shadowed Daniel, capturing raw moments mentoring a scared kid like his younger self. Alex's proposal retelling under auroras in Iceland. Richard joined a panel at the center. Voice breaking on apologies aired live. Views exploded. Hearts shifting. Summer peaked with EchoNet's billion-user milestone. A gala at the Met. Daniel danced with Alex. Then Richard awkward steps to jazz. Laughter bubbling. I was wrong. The old man whispered. You made me see. Daniel's reply, we both did. In the afterglow, Daniel reflected on the bench in Prospect Park. Alex beside. From rain-soaked exile to this empires of steel and soul. The hook that started it all. Not revenge, but redemption. A father's regret. A son's grace. Love's unyielding light. Yet the story deepened. Flashbacks wove in. Daniel's first crush at 16. A classmate's stolen kiss behind the gym. Terror of discovery. Richard's oblivious pride then. Pushing mergers over heart-to-hearts. The rejections echo in boardrooms. Where Daniel hired queer talent first. Diversity his creed. Challenges lingering to cyber attack from abroad. Testing firewalls. Team rallied. Riley's genius shining. Emerging stronger. Personally, Alex's cancer scare benign. But a wake-up to fragility. They traveled. Souls entwined in Santorini sunsets. Vowing forever. Richard's full arc, volunteering at the center. Funding initiatives. Coming out in his memoir as bi-curious youth denied. I regretted before you built. He told Daniel. Your empire just showed me how. Crescendo at Pride, floats thundering. Daniel on a chariot with Alex. Richard marching beside. Sign reading, Proud Dad. Cheers roared. Tears flowed kith to catharsis. From the boardroom embrace. Daniel's life unfurled like a banner in wind. EchoNet's growth was meteoric. But so were the thorns. A feature on 60 Minutes thrust him into the spotlight sitting in that same Brooklyn diner. Recounting the rain-soaked night. Voice steady as steel. Rejection. It was my greatest investor. He said. Eyes locking on camera. Viewers surged. But so did hate mail anonymous threats. Slurs scrawled on loft doors. Alex installed cameras. His artist's hands now wielding resolve. They fear what we build. He said. Kissing Daniel's temple. The team ballooned to 20. A rainbow collective in a Soho loft. Coders from Juilliard dropouts to Harvard alums. All queer or allied. Riley led sprints. Her non-binary flair inspiring wild brainstorming sessions fueled by vegan tacos. Daniel mentored personally. Remembering his own Yale isolation nights in libraries hiding crushes in spreadsheets. One hire. Jamal. A black gay developer from Atlanta. Shared stories of church excommunications. Daniel listened. Then connected him to investors. Watching Jamal's fintech app for minority lenders take flight. Richard's overtures grew. A box arrived at the loft, cufflinks from Daniel's graduation. Engraved Harrington Air. Note inside, wear them. Or don't. Just know. Daniel donned them for a VC pitch. The way to talisman. Success followed Series B round at 50 million. Lena leading with a wink. Told you. Revolution pays. Romance with Alex deepened. But not without friction. Alex's freelance dried amid EchoNet's demands. Resentment simmered. I'm your partner, not your shadow. He snapped after a missed gallery opening. Daniel apologized with a weekend in the Hamptons. Waves lapping as they rebuilt bridges. You're my North Star. Daniel vowed. Sand between toes. They adopted a rescue dog. Luna. A scruffy mutt whose wagging tail mirrored their mending. Fall's leaves turned. And so did tides. Harrington Industries teetered a whistleblower leak on environmental shortcuts. Fines looming. Richard called. Voice frayed, advise me. For old times. Daniel arrived at the tower. Blueprints spread. Sustainability isn't weakness. He urged. Sketching green initiatives EchoNet had piloted. Richard nodded. Implementing stocks rebounding. Press praising the Harrington pivot. Holiday season shimmered with hope. Daniel hosted at the loft. Richard arriving with pie from his Queens roots. Awkward but earnest. Alex grilled him on baseball. Thawing ice. Toasts rang, to second chances. But midnight. Richard pulled Daniel aside. I saw the scars I left. Therapy. It's hard. Daniel hugged him. Healing's the real empire. New year brought expansion EchoNet Academy. Free courses for queer youth. Daniel taught the first. Yale ghosts exorcised in empowering lectures. A student, Mia, 16 and scared, confided her coming out fears. Daniel shared his storm. Watching her bloom. Spring storms hit. A data breach exposed user emails. Panic rippling. Daniel's team worked 72 hours straight. Transparency, their shield. Public apology. Enhanced security. Trust rebuilt stronger. Users doubling down. Personally, Alex proposed formally at the center. Under the rainbow flag that had witnessed their spark. Build forever with me. Kneeling. Ring gleaming. Yes. Amid cheers. A circle completed. Richard's transformation accelerated. He funded a center wing. Named for Daniel's mother lost to cancer years prior. Her silent ally in the shadows. Dedication ceremony, Richard speaking. Voice breaking. I failed her too. But not anymore. Summer heat wave mirrored rising tensions. A conservative PAC targeted EchoNet. Ads claiming it indoctrinated kids. Boycotts loomed. Daniel countersued for defamation. Rallying celebs. Elliot Page narrating PSAs. Lizzo hosting fundraisers. Victory in court. But exhaustion weighed. Alex noticed. Pause. Love. Volley calls. They went. Emerald rice terraces healing. Snorkeling reefs. Daniel surfaced gasping. Thesusis why. Renewed. They returned. Fall harvest. EchoNet's 1-year anniversary gala at the Whitney. Richard danced with Elena. Daniel with Alex. Worlds colliding in waltzes. Regrets my ghost. Richard confessed later. You banished it. As leaves fell. Daniel's book deal landed. Echoes of exile. Writing poured out. The rain. The diner. Alex's grin. Richard read drafts. Annotations in margins. Proud. Winter solstice. Family trip to Aspen. Skis carving snow like paths forward. Richard shared war stories, not business. But heart. The sailor. Love denied. I chose fear. You chose truth. EchoNet hit critical mass, mentoring 1,000 startups. Billions in funding funneled. Daniel keynote at Web Summit. Lisbon roaring approval. But climax brewed domestic. Alex's fertility dreams surface at surrogacy talks. Dreams of family. Daniel hesitated. father's rejection echoing. Therapy sessions. Couples and solo. Unpacked it. I want our legacy. He realized. Spring renewal. Richard's full retirement announcement. Daniel declining CEO but advising board. Build together. Richard urged. Daniel agreed hybrid empires. Ethics first. Pride Month dawned. Parades pulsing. Daniel. Alex. Richard marching signs high. Love wins late. Tears mixed with confetti. Regret's final sigh. Yet the hook lingers, in quiet. Daniel wonders if empires mend hearts or merely gild them. With Alex's head on his shoulder. Luna at feet. Richard's call incoming dinner. He knows, yes. They do. The embrace in the boardroom lingered in Daniel's memory like a half-remembered dream. Warm but tentative. EchoNet's trajectory steepened. User growth exploding to 50,000 as word-of-mouth spread through queer networks from Seattle coffee shops to Miami nightclubs. Daniel's days blurred into a rhythm of calls. Codes. And coffee's black. No sugar. Like his resolve. The Soho loft buzzed. Whiteboards scrawled with user journeys. Sticky notes fluttering like flags of progress. Hiring Jamal was a turning point. The young developer arrived with a duffel of dreams and a resume scarred by Atlanta's Bible Belt biases. Churches fired me for who I love, he said over interview lattes. Daniel saw his younger self. Offered not just a job, but equity. Jamal's app. Equity Flow. Integrated seamlessly. Channeling microloans to marginalized founders. Your family now? Daniel said, clapping his shoulder. The team Riley's sharp wit. Lena's strategic calls coalesced into something sacred. Meetings ending in hugs, not handshakes. Richard's cufflinks became a ritual. Daniel wore them to this 60 minutes taping. The diner's booth a time machine to that first dawn. Ed Bradley's questions probed gentle but deep. How does rejection fuel genius? Daniel's answer. Raw, it strips you bare. Then arms you with truth. Airing to millions. It catapulted EchoNet downloads spiked. Partnerships with Apple and Google for App Store features. Hate followed. Inevitable as shadow. Emails flooded. Freak empire will burn. One night. Red paint slashed their door, abomination. Alex cleaned it at dawn. Jaw set. They mark what scares them. Daniel installed security. But the violation lingered. Sex that night fierce. Reclaiming space. Luna. Their mutt. Sensed tension. Curling between legs with wines that coaxed smiles. Alex's freelance drought hit harder. A major client bailed after lifestyle concerns. His designs shelved. I'm proud. But invisible. He vented. Canvas blank. Daniel cleared his calendar for the Hamptons Escape oceanfront cottage. No Wi-Fi. They biked dunes. Cooked clams. Talked till stars wheeled. You're my canvas, Daniel said, sketching Alex's profile in sand. The ring exchanged there. Impromptu. Forever starts now. Alex's yes. Salty with C. Sealed it. Richard's crises mounted. The leak toxic waste cover-ups from 90s expansions hit like a grenade. Fines loomed in millions. Shareholders fleeing. His call came at 2 a.m. Danny. I need you. Daniel arrived at dawn. Tower empty, but for ghosts. Spreadsheets open. He dissected. Go green or go down. Proposals flowed solar retrofits. Community fund secondits model scaled. Richard implemented. Press dubbing it Harrington's Rainbow Redemption. Stocks climbed 15%. But the cost, Richard's pride. Cracked.